Shalom, Shabbat, Shabbat, Shalom, Shabbat, Shalom. Lecha Dodi, Likrat Kala, Penei Shabbat, Nekabla, Lecha Dodi, Likrat Kala, Penei Shabbat, Nekabla, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat. Is this working? Oh, I don't know. Let's find out. Keep going.
Let's start the service with Shabbat Shalom, everyone. This is a wonderful beginning to Shabbat, to walk down the aisle singing together. This is our Camp Shabbat. They can't hear me at home, can they? I'm still
Brett,
holding the microphone as if it's working.
It's okay.
So this is Camp Shabbat. What is a Camp Shabbat? COVID has taken so much from us and taught us also how much is possible. Sharing Camp Joy was traditionally on Sunday mornings. It's fun on Sunday mornings to listen to camp directors. They, as you see out there, they have awesome swag for us. Talk to us about what is awesome about camp. Robin, I think I'm gonna take your microphone.
Go for it.
Thanks.
Give us that one.
Oh, we're gonna swap.
The camp directors, is that better? Oh, look, should I start over?
Yes.
Okay, no. Okay. So it's fun on Sunday mornings to listen to the camp directors talk to us about camp, to watch the camp videos, and to get some pretty awesome swag, which is here tonight. But camp is experiential and relational. So with Camp Shabbat, our hope is that not only to encourage next generations of campers, it's also to demonstrate in some tiny way the magic of camp. Camp, of course, is not just one thing. Each summer camp has its own traditions, its own quirks.
It had an on button.
Oh, we had to turn it on. It's fantastic. Fantastic. Its own quirks, its own specialties. Tonight we bring you a service that was created from input from campers from the 3 camps that are here tonight. And so it's a hybrid service, which we are presenting in a hybrid way. So it's a hybrid service here from 3 camps that there are many of us who are still watching at home. So those people who helped us with the service, you can just give a wave. Emily Langell. You can wave, Emily. Woo-hoo. All right, Emily's over there. She doesn't want to wave. Woo-hoo. Lily Basic. Woo-hoo. Mason Keller. Woo-hoo. And Isaac Van. Woo-hoo. Provided input and leadership to the service. And all the kids who went to camp last summer were invited to participate if they could be here. So I've talked a lot about different camps, but I haven't told you which camps. So we have here Camp Wise, who definitely traveled the furthest. Woohoo! From Chardon, Ohio. And we have with us 6 Points Creative Arts Academy, representing all the 6 points. So what is that? The Union for Reform Judaism has a network of camps, and 6 Points has an arts academy a sports academy, and a sci-tech academy. And we have with us Goldman Union Camp Institute, otherwise known as Gucci. And I forgot to say the names of all the people who are here. So I'm going to go backwards just for a moment. So from Camp Wise, Bess Brown and Rachel Felber are here. From 6 Points Creative Arts, Joellen Unger is here from Baltimore, if she came from home. And from Goldman Union Camp Institute, from Gucci, Jeremy Klotz is here.
Woohoo!
This service would not happen without a lot of people. We have learned in COVID that you need plans A, B, C, D, E, F, and then it keeps going. We have done that today, literally today. So I want to give thanks to my partner in crime, Rabbi Shauna Nair.
Woo!
I want to give a really huge kudos to Deb because at around 2:45 we received a text that the song leader from Camp Wise, who was going to join us, Josh Levy, is sick. And so at 3:15, Robin Selinger said yes.
Woot!
Thanks to Deb for having that connection. And Robin, where did you drive in from?
Kent.
And she drove in from Kent to be with us. So thank you, Robin. And, of course, to Brett Schenkman, who got off a plane from Arizona from a conference and is here. So
Because Jacob is sick.
Oh, I forgot that one. And why is the setup, if you're here on regular Friday nights, usually our tech setup is over here. It is because our usual tech person and youth group advisor, Jacob Rogers, is sick, which happened this morning. So in case Brett's plane was late.
Right. Right. If Brett got here half an hour ago. So.
Right. So that's what we learned from COVID. So with that.
On we go.
On we go. It's a lot of introduction for what is going to be a beautiful service. I wanted to get all of the introductions out of the way. So now we're going to turn to Rabbi Shauna, who has a story that she's pretty famous for. And I think we're going to switch these cords back.
Okay.
So nobody trips.
Cool. Hello.
I don't know.
We're going to go with the sun. And I have a big voice. Do the people at home hear me? We're going to hope.
I think it's Capo 2 or 3. What? Did you turn it on?
Yeah, it says on.
Okay. Hang on. Oh, we switched them back now. Okay. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Keep talking.
Hey, cool. Okay, so I love telling
it's still
stories,
not working.
and I tried never to repeat stories in the same setting, except for this one, which I tell at the beginning of every session at camp every year, and I tell it on staff week. So if you work at camp, you hear it a lot. And I've told it actually here at Suburban Temple, Kol Ami as well. And it is the story of two best friends named Schwartz and Greenberg. And Schwartz and Greenberg go to Shabbat services every week. They go to Shabbat morning services every week, and Greenberg fervently believes in God. Knows God exists, has no doubts whatsoever, but is a very busy man. So Shabbat is the time that Greenberg goes to be with God and to meet with God.
Sorry.
No worries. That was God agreeing that Greenberg goes every week to be with God. Schwartz, on the other hand, isn't so sure. Sometimes Schwartz says, yeah, God exists. Other times there are doubts. But still, Schwartz goes every week to services. And then there was one Shabbat morning where Schwartz was having a hard time waking up. He had had a really busy week. He was super, super tired. I have no idea what that's like at all. And he was having trouble getting out of bed. And his wife looked at him and said, Schwartz, because of course that's what she called him. And she said, Schwartz, what would be so terrible if you skipped a week? You're not even sure God exists. Why? Like, just stay in bed, relax. And Schwartz looked at her and said, Greenberg goes to be with God. I go to be with Greenberg. So some of you sitting here this evening are like Mr. Greenberg. You know that God exists, and you are taking this Shabbat pause because it is your weekly time to be with God. And some of you are Schwartz, And you are here because you want to be with community, whether it is your Suburban Temple Kol Ami community, whether it is your Camp Wise community, your 6 Points community, your Gucci community. And some of you are here because your parents told you it was 6 p.m. and this is where you had to be. I know. I might be one of those parents. All of that is okay. And whatever reason brought you here this evening, I hope that our service fills you up and gives you everything you need, not only to get through Shabbat, but through the coming week as well. So now I'm going to ask you to take a big, deep breath. Let go of anything that might be stressing you out. For some sitting here, it may take more than one breath, and that's okay too. Trust me. And now we will continue with the Shabbat blessings. It is my understanding that Gucci has a tradition that when you do your Shabbat blessings, you call up a longtime Gucci family to lead the candles. A family whose mom is behind me may have been one of those families this past summer. So as a way to honor that tradition and to put a slight twist on it, we are going to actually ask that if you are a camp parent to stand at your seats. Unless your last name is Nathanson. And the reason we chose the Nathansons to represent our camp parents is because they are the parents of 3 of our campers, which means they win. They have the most campers in the congregation. And we are going to ask you all to turn to page 3 in your prayer book for our candles and Kiddush.
Stand up here because the microphone. Page 3.
Okay. O source of light and truth, creator of the eternal law of goodness, help us to find knowledge by which to live. Lead us to take the words we shall speak into our hearts and our lives. Bless all who enter the sanctuary in need, all who bring the offerings of their hearts. May our worship lead us to acts of kindness, peace, and love.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav, v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel Shabbat.
The heaven and the earth were finished, and all their array. On the seventh day, God finished the work that God had been doing, and God ceased on the seventh day from all the work that God had done. And God blessed the seventh day and declared it holy, because on it God ceased from all the work of creation that God had done.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu, v'shabbat kodsho be'ahava u'ratzon hinchilanu, zikaron lema'aseh v'reshit, ki hu yom techila lemikrae kodesh, zecher letziat Mitzrayim, ki vanu v'acharta, v'yotanu kidashta, mikol ha'amim, v'shabbat kodshecha, ve'ava uvratzon hinchaltanu. Baruch atah Adonai, Mekadesh HaShabbat. Amen. L'chaim.
L'chaim.
Thank you very much.
We are going to trade one set of Nathansons for another. And so it's my pleasure to invite Zach Nathanson to come forward. He's going to share our opening reading. So you know that our readings this Shabbat Eve are not found in your prayer book, and they will not be on slides. They're going to be just shared by our campers.
Now the sun is setting, getting ready for tomorrow. Soon the moon will be glowing, showing off the moonlight. Take a look above you, discover the view. If you haven't noticed, please do, please do, please do.
We turn now to the Baruch Hu, which can be found on page 28. And we often say, you've often heard me say, we rise in body or in spirit, or we rise as able. And I have had people say to me, well, what does that really mean? So I asked Deb if I could use her as an object lesson, because Deb is injured. She has injured her knee. And so that's what it means, rise in body or in spirit, rise as able. There are times in our lives where our spirit can be lifted up, but sometimes our body needs to stay seated. And so Deb is staying seated. But we will rise. What? Your soul is lifted, but we will stand for the Baruch Hu, which is a version that we do at Gucci called Roll Into Dark. And if you know it, please join.
Okay. Two. Ready?
becomes day, day turns to night. Borei yom v'layla, bolel or mipnei choshech, bolel or mipnei choshech, v'choshech mipnei or. Roll into dark, roll into light. Night becomes day, day turns to night. Roll into dark, roll into light. Night becomes day, day turns to night. Night becomes day, day turns to night. Roll into dark, roll into light. Night becomes day, day turns to night.
We continue with the Shema.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Leolam Vaed.
Please be seated.
Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol levavcha u'b'chol nafshecha u'b'chol me'odecha ve'hayu hadvarim ha'ele asher anochi metzavcha hayom al levavecha Veshinantam levanecha, vedibarta bam, beshivtecha bevetecha, uvlechtecha vaderech, uvshochbecha uvkumecha, ukshartam leot al yadecha, vehayu letotafot beinenecha, uchtavtam amezuzot beitecha uvisharecha leman tizkeru vasitem et kol mitzvotai vitem kedoshim lelohechem ani Adonai Elohechem asher hotzeiti etchem me'eretz Mitzrayim Lihiot lachem Elohim, Ani Adonai Elohechem.
I'd like to invite up Emily Langell and Rafi Menlowitz for a reading. Apparently at Camp Y, Shel Silverstein is a fan favorite, so we have another Shel Silverstein reading.
There is a place where the sidewalk ends, and before the street begins, and there is the grass grows soft and white, and there the sun burns crimson bright, and there the moonbird rests for his flight to cool in the peppermint wind. Let us leave this place where the smoke blows black.
Dark street winds and bends. Past the pits or
The glow tree, we shall walk the walk.
That is measured and slow. And watch where the chalk white arrows go. To the place where the sidewalk ends.
Shel Silverstein.
Okay.
It's
That
truly
never
a Camp
happens at
Shabbat now.
I do not claim them at all.
You might be related to him.
I know. So we are going to go into Micha Mocha, and I have no idea who the composer to this version of Micha Mocha is. We do song leader training at Camp Wise, and when I asked Josh Nizon, who often comes in and does song leader training, who the composer was, because we wanted to do it for our bar mitzvah here, one of our kids wanted to use it, he said, it is the Camp Wise version. I have never heard of it before. I have no idea. I call it the Camp Wise version. So that is what we are going to do, but we also have a tradition, so I'm going to bring up Micah and Jesse Nathanson, who are going to help lead us in the swaying. If you are comfortable and you like the person next to you, you can put your arm around them. And at the beginning...
No strangling.
We're going to actually stand right in front there, so you can go be with your brother, and I'll come join you guys in a minute. Right. So just like that. And at the beginning, we sway from side to side. Can you guys sway from side to side, side to side? Cool. And then when we get to the second part, and you're just going to follow the Nathanson brothers, we begin by going forward and then back. And what winds up happening, especially when there's an aisle in the middle like this, we look like the sea waving and parting, which is kind of, I know, it's kind of neat. So that's what we're going to do as we sing Micha Mocha together.
Micha Mocha ba'elim Adonai, Adonai, Micha Mocha nehedar b'kodesh, b'kodesh, Norah tehilot, Aseh belev, Norah tehilot, Aseh belev. Adonai, Adonai, Micha Mocha nehedar b'kodesh, b'kodesh, Norah tehilot, Aseh belev, Norah tehilot, Aseh belev, Micha Mocha.
And now I'd like to call up Lily Basic for another Shel Silverstein. He was ordained, just so you know.
I will not play it Hug of War. I'd rather play it Hug of War. Where everyone hugs instead of tugs. Where everyone giggles and rolls on the rug. Where everyone kisses and everyone grins. And everyone cuddles and everyone wins. Shel Silverstein.
So we turn now to singing Hashkivenu. The words of Hashkivenu, the full prayer, can be found on page 42. We will be singing the version that Dan Nichols wrote. Dan Nichols grew up at Goldman Union Camp Institute. He is a very well-known thank you, Robin. He's a very well-known composer, contemporary Jewish musician, and the words of the song are not exactly what you'll find on page 42, but you'll get the sense of the spirit of the song.
Ready?
Hashkivenu Adonai, Eloheinu l'shalom, V'hamidenu shomrenu l'chaim. Hashkivenu Adonai, Eloheinu l'shalom, V'hamidenu shomrenu l'chaim. Spread the shelter of your peace over us. Guide us in wisdom, compassion, and trust. Hashkivenu Adonai, Eloheinu l'shalom, V'hamidenu shomrenu us from hatred, sorrow, and pain. Hashkibeinu Adonai, Eloheinu l'shalom, v'hamideinu m'shomreinu l'chaim, l'chaim, l'chaim.
Okay, so this next prayer is not usually a standing prayer, but it's going to become a standing prayer because we're going to ask you all to dance. And I'm going to explain in a moment. So first of all, if you are a Campwise person, staff or camper, I'm going to invite you up because we are going to stand for the Vishamru, and we are all going to do the movements.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, which, come on.
Come on, we need
I know who you are, so here's the thing. I see you all in the back too. Yeah, come on up. Okay, so here's the thing. We can all stand like right here, yeah. And the thing is we're going to have everybody in the congregation rise so you can follow the movements. If you know the Macarena, then you know the movements because that's what they are. And so for the people who are watching in Zoomlandia or at home, we have a camera that's right there that Deb has affectionately called Congo Cam. So it is watching you. So they're going to watch you too. They can see you. They can see us. So let's Vishamru it out.
No, they can right there.
Veshamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם, ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. ביני ובין בני ישראל אותי לעולם, אותי לעולם, ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. כי ששת ימים עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ, ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. וביום השביעי שבת וינפש, שבת וינפש, שבת וינפש, ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם, ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם.
I'm going to ask everyone to stay standing. And all campers, if you went to camp, any summer camp, Jewish summer camp, I see you, to come forward because you're going to help lead the tefillah. And what we have learned, what I have learned in Rabbi Shana, that every camp interprets the tefillah differently. So the tefillah is the centerpiece of our liturgy.
Some of you come up.
First,
Come up on the bima,
so we can
closer to the center.
So
Yes.
first, recenter ourselves, we
Better.
pay attention a little bit more, and then we remember our forefathers and foremothers upon whose shoulders we stand. We give thanks for the greatness of God, and then the sanctity of Shabbat. These are three of the most important prayers that we say, and at camp we learn that prayer, as you can tell, is not just our voice, it's not just our head, it's also our body. And so what we're asking, not just, what we're asking is for whatever tradition you have learned at camp, for you to use your body in prayer to show us what you have done as we together chant these prayers. And they are pages 46 to, from right, 46, 48, 50, and 52.
Adonai, Sefatai Tiftach, Ufi Agita Hilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips, that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu, Elohei Avotenu v'Imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor v'Hanorah, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, Vekonei Hakol, Vezocher Chasdei Avot ve'imahot, Umevi Geula Livnei v'neihem, Lem'an Shemo be'ahava, Melech Hoser u'Moshia u'Magen, Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Avraham ve'Ezrat Sarah. Atah Gibor le'olam Adonai, Mechaye hakol atah, Rav lehoshia. Mechakel chayim bechesed, Mechaye hakol berachamim rabim, Somech noflim verofech cholim, Umatir asurim, Umekayem emunato lishenei afar, Michamocha ba'al gevurot, Umido melach, Melech memit umechaye, Umatzmiach Yeshua, V'ne'eman atah lehachayot hakol, Baruch atah Adonai, Mechaye hakol. Atah kadosh v'shimcha kadosh, u'kedoshim b'chol yom yehallelujah selah. Baruch atah Adonai, ha'el hakadosh.
Please be seated. And Mason is conveniently already up here, so he's going to offer a reading.
Our rabbi used to let his son wander in the woods, but worried for his safety. He decided to discuss the matter with his child. One day, he took him aside and he said, "You know, I've noticed that each day you walk into the woods. I wondered, why do you go
Is it
there?"
off?
The boy said to
Hey,
his
Mason,
father,
hang on one second. Yeah, let's just leave it on.
The boy said to his father, "I go there to find God." "That is a very good thing," the father replied gently. "I am glad you are searching for God. But, my child, don't you know that God is the same everywhere?" "Yes," the boy answered, "but I am not."
All right. Thank you, Mason. So we turn now to page 60, Shalom Rav. It's a song about peace. Asks for God to bring a great peace upon us. Shalom also means wholeness. And so as we sing Shalom Rav, let us also think about the wholeness of Shabbat.
Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Le'olam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Le'olam. Shalom Rav Ki Atahu Melech Adon Lechol HaShalom. Ki Atahu Melech Adon Lechol HaShalom Shalom Rab al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Le'olam Shalom Rab al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Le'olam V'tov be'einecha levarech Et Amcha Yisrael Bechol עת ובכל שעה בשלומך. שלום רב על ישראל עמך תשים לעולם. שלום רב על ישראל עמך תשים לעולם. תשים לעולם. תשים לעולם.
We take a moment now to think about all of those whom we love who are struggling at this time, who may be physically ill, who may be spiritually struggling, who may have mental illness. And so as my hand passes over the congregation, I invite you to share aloud the names of loved ones so that we can lift them up together. They may find some measure of comfort.
Stuart Hoykowitz.
Sheila, Jane, and Michael.
We join together in the prayer for healing. If you need the words, page 253.
מי שברא אבותינו מקור הברכה לאמותינו. May the source of strength who bless the ones before us help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say Amen. Mi sheberah imotenu mekor habracha le'avotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say Amen.
We take a few moments now for silent prayer and reflection. We have not just many camp traditions, we also have congregational traditions. And so we have a little congregational tradition that maybe we can introduce to the camp directors this evening. We have this incredible Osei Shalom, Elena Jagoda's Osei Shalom, and we've created our own Suburban Temple Kol Ami dance. So Yes.
Yeah, I was going to suggest, you know what we do on Sunday mornings is we line up along the walls, and Congo Cam is set up to capture that.
So I think everyone should line up wherever they line up on the wall, stand up wherever you feel comfortable to show our directors this
Yeah.
amazing dance that maybe you want to bring back to
Absolutely.
camp.
Now, this is not just kids. This is adults,
Any
too.
Suburban Temple-Kol Ami member that wants to join.
Can I even say, if they aren't Suburban Temple-Kol Ami members, they can join as well.
Let's
It's
just
very,
have fun.
very
Let's sing
easy.
along.
It's very, very easy. Here we go. You ready? 1, 2, 3, 4.
Oh, say shalom. Bimrama. Oh, say shalom. Bimrama. Huya'aseh, huya'aseh, huya'aseh shalom. Huya'aseh, huya'aseh, huya'aseh shalom. Huya'aseh, huya'aseh, huya'aseh shalom. Alleluia. May the one who makes peace bring peace down, bring peace down. May the one who makes peace bring peace down, bring peace down. May the one who makes peace bring peace down, bring peace down. May the one who makes peace bring peace down, bring peace down. Oh, say shalom. Imrama. Oh, say shalom. Huya'aseh, huya'aseh, huya'aseh shalom. Huya'aseh, huya'aseh, huya'aseh shalom. Huya'aseh, huya'aseh, huya'aseh shalom. Alleluia. 1, 2, 3, 4. May the one who makes peace bring peace down, bring peace down. May the one who makes peace bring peace down, bring peace down. May the one who makes peace bring peace down, bring peace down. May the one who makes peace bring peace down, bring peace down. Woot woot! Nicely
We
done.
have the camp spirit here at Suburban Temple-Kol Ami. Thank you, everyone. So when changing the model for having camp directors come, one of the most important things is for camp directors to talk about their camp and to share camp. How do we do that here in a service? So what we did was we asked each camp director to bring a little Torah with them. They're not bringing the Torah out of the ark. They didn't bring Torahs with them from their camp. But we created, Rabbi Shauna and myself, a prompt. We asked them a question based on this week's Torah portion. This week's Torah portion is Vayishlach. That might mean nothing to you, but it's a beautiful Torah portion. It's Jacob wrestling with the divine messenger. And Jacob wrestles with the divine messenger all night, and when he wakes up, he is transformed. He has a new name, Yisrael. Yisrael means one who struggles, one who wrestles with God. And he becomes someone new, someone transformed. Camp has the power to do that and has done that for generation after generation. And so we asked each director a specific question. And so what we're going to do is I will introduce a director, or Rabbi Shauna will introduce the director, and we will ask them their question. So first, I want to introduce Jeremy Klotz, who's already walking. Your timing is perfect. Jeremy Klotz is the director of Goldman Union Camp Institute. He literally grew up at Goldman Union Camp Institute at Gucci and has returned to Gucci how many years now? 8 years as the director, with a legal career before that. And so he really understands how to make sure camp is safe. So it's my pleasure to ask Jeremy to come teach us about, I got to find your question. Your question is, how does camp transform you and prepare you for challenges?
Thank you very much. Thanks for inviting us to come and talk to you today. Camp is all about growth. It's the first part, obviously, is about having a wonderful time and making the best friends you've ever had, and that's true of all of our camps. but everything about camp is about growth from the minute you come to camp to the minute you become a staff member. So if you've never been to camp before, the mere fact that you're thinking about packing up your stuff and getting in the car, getting on a bus, and going away from home to camp to be with other people, that's a challenge. That's a challenge for a lot of people. And when you go and do that and you accomplish that, you build a ton of resilience and skill that you will use for the rest of your life in all kinds of different challenges. And you're always going to find yourselves in positions where you're going away from your comfort zone, joining new clubs, going to new schools, going to college, having to make your way in a sea of people you don't know. And the way camp works, when you go into a cabin, that's exactly what you're learning how to do. And of course, we have counselors who are there to observe, supervise, love, and care for you as you're doing this. And when you get to camp, they meet you immediately and start to get to know you, and they usher you through the process of getting to know other people in your cabin and making you feel comfortable at camp. So that's one really big challenge. And it's not only the first summer that you go that you feel that challenge. Sometimes it's in the second and the third summer, and you get a little nervous. Sometimes you're 48 years old and you have to leave your bed and you have to go to camp and you get a little nervous about it. But that's a big challenge as well. A lot of the programs that we do at camp, like I said before, are geared around having fun. They're geared around experience and challenges and things like that, like perhaps climbing an alpine tower or doing a ropes course. At camp, we ask you to do some things that you've never done before. We ask you to do some things that maybe you're a little nervous or scared to do. But the wonderful thing about camp is that sometimes you do these with a bunch of friends. And you go with your entire cabin who you've now met, and they're your best friends, and they're all going to try it for the first time too. And they're all a little nervous to do it as well. And then you see people start to go up the tower, and you have this support network. And so you really learn to rely on friends, you really learn to ask for help, and you learn to advocate. We teach at camp all the time. I mean, the Jewish identity piece is obviously essential to mission, and where the rubber meets the road for us sometimes is about human skills, communication skills, learning how to communicate so that you can solve problems for yourself. When you're at camp and you have an issue and your parents aren't there, you learn how to ask your friends, you learn how to ask your counselors for help, and that is also a tremendous skill that's going to help you solve lots of problems. Because as you know, we don't like to fight physically, we like to use our words, we like to explain to people how we feel, and we like to get used to that at camp. So those are a couple of the ways that just being in our community and going away to camp really helps you set yourself up for success when you meet other challenges that will come to you, and you know they're going to come. They're going to come all over the place. So it's just a wonderful foundation for the programs. And this is not unique to Gucci. This is the basis of a lot of the programs that are here today, and it's wonderful to be able to present with such camps who also value such high excellence in programming and safety and care. So kudos. You're not going to go wrong picking a camp in this room.
So next, it is my great joy to introduce Bess Brown, who is going to give the Devar Torah for Camp Wise. When I returned to camp in 2016, Bess and I got to work together because she was a Judaic specialist, and I was the Jewish educator and got to supervise her. And then she came back as arts and crafts supervisor. And then she took a little time off and returned last summer as an assistant director, and will be back for her second year as assistant director, but this is your, 15th summer? Oh, we have that in common. We're both going to get a tree in the 15-year forest this summer. We're super excited. And so this is Bess Brown. Oh, and her question. So, got to remember all the things I'm supposed to be doing. Your question. Oh, so when Jacob had this wrestling moment, he had sent all of his family ahead of him, and he was all alone. So we asked you, while you are away from your family, how does camp provide community and a sense of family?
So at the core of camp is kahila, or community, and this hello. Great. Hi, everyone. Thanks. So at the core of camp, at all of our camps, is community, or kahila, and this kahila keeps us connected not just during the summer, but the months in between, before we arrive at camp and in the months leading up after. At the start of each summer, campers and staff come together and find themselves a part of the overall camp community. They also find their place in smaller communities. These communities are in your cabin, your village, or your age group, or maybe even an interest like horseback riding. At Campwise, we talk about community starting in our cabins. Your cabin mates might include some familiar faces, but will also include some new ones. On the first night at bunk night, your counselors help you introduce yourselves. You find common interests, you eat some yummy treats together, share fun facts, and share what you're excited and nervous about looking ahead to the summer of camp. Through cabin bonding, late night chats, team building, activities, birthday celebrations, and lots more, your cabin becomes your family and your home away from home. You support each other getting up and off the zip line, celebrating big and little accomplishments, and are just always there for one another. Your cabin mates are all going to be in your same grade, and a bunch of cabins across a few grades make up your village. Each village lives in its own unique space and has its own culture and traditions. In your village, you come together as a kahila and start your day off with your friends at morning assembly. You do silly cheers, have a weather report, get your body moving, and really start off your day on the best note. At lunch, you try and cheer the loudest so that everyone in the dining hall or chadar knows that your village is the best. During village time, you play cards, hang out in hammocks, of course play gaga, maybe meet some new friends. And then at night, you come together again as a kahila, as a village, sing songs, tell stories, and close out the evening together. Our camp kahila grows over the course of the summer. You'll first get introduced to everyone at our opening campfire, which is how we kick off the start of each session. We hear from all different campers and staff about why they love camp and why they keep coming back. We sing songs, and we end the evening by singing the Shechechianu. The Shechechianu is a blessing that's used to mark the start of a new season or when you're doing something for the first time that year. And we sing the Shechechianu together because it's the perfect way to mark a new start of the summer. Throughout the summer, we build community by eating together 3 times a day, every day, in our dining hall where we're all cheering most of the meal. We find a little bit of time to eat. Makabia, our color wars, when all of camp is divided up into teams and there's cheering and a lot of spirit competitions and sports. And then one of the most meaningful ways we build camp, kahila, is during Shabbat. We come together similar to how we are tonight, except at camp we are surrounded under a canopy of trees, bringing in Shabbat together. We dress a little bit nicer, eat meals a little bit differently, and get to spend time with friends and family outside of our cabins or village. It's really sacred being able to look up when you're saying prayers together as a community and see this canopy of trees over you. At the end of the summer, we close out our experience on CW night, the last night of camp. We all gather into the chadar, the dining hall, with sleeping bags and blankets and pillows. We sing songs we like singing at camp. We watch videos. We reminisce about our time that we just experienced. We might even shed a tear or two. Community doesn't just happen on one day or in one program or one experience. It builds throughout the summer. Every song session, every time you complete a challenge on the ropes course, every Shabbat, our kahila builds. This sense of community doesn't just come to an end at the end of the summer. Our campers stay connected throughout the year, attend each other's b'nai mitzvot, get together for events at each other's homes or even at camp. When you sign up for camp, you aren't just signing up for a few weeks of summer fun. You're signing up for a lifetime of memories and friendship, creating your own kahila. Shabbat shalom.
Thank you, Bess. That was great.
So it's my pleasure now to ask Joellen Unger to come forward. Joellen Unger is the director of 6 Points Creative Arts Academy, and she has a very special relationship to this congregation, to myself, to Rabbi Shauna, and actually to my husband. So, as I said before, there's a whole network of camps throughout the Reform movement. And so I know Joellen through Kutz, which is the way that Joellen knows my husband. And so that relationship goes on for years, many, many, many years. Because, as Beth said, when you sign up for camp, you sign up for life. And camp friends are for life. And how many years now for your math? 5 years ago, the Reform movement, Hebrew Union College, offers a master's degree for people already in the field. And Rabbi Shauna, we are the beneficiary because Rabbi Shauna did that master's degree and Joellen did the master's degree, and that's how they met. So we have these incredible relationships. So Joellen, you got the longest introduction because I had to talk about all the relationships.
You gotta tell me my question.
Oh, your question. Yes, I do. I got so excited. Where do you find God at camp?
And the shortest question. I want to thank everybody for letting us be here tonight, and I really appreciate the introduction as well. I also want to say thank you to Mason for being here tonight representing 6 Points Creative Arts Academy. Rabbi Shauna told one of my favorite stories, and then Mason told the second of my favorite stories. So I want to share with you one more. The angels were arguing in heaven because they didn't want to share God with human beings. And one angel said, let's hide God in the mountains. And another angel said, no, let's hide God in the river. And another said, no, let's hide God in a valley. And the smartest angel finally said, you know what? Let's hide a little piece of God inside every single human being because it's the last place they're going to think to look. The 6 Points Creative Arts Academy is about nurturing that spark of the divine within every single person who comes into our communities. We call that spark of the divine passion. I grew up at a regional camp, and I am so grateful for that experience. And we bounced from activity to activity to activity, and some of my friends became some of the most well-rounded human beings I have ever met. And for me, there was not enough art. If you could have just left me in one room to play my guitar and to be in the play and to sing and to dance and to draw, I would have been the happiest kid. And we fast forward, and there are a lot of other kids who don't do as well at some of our traditional camps because they just love this one thing. And in their infinite wisdom, the Foundation for Jewish Camp and the Union for Reform Judaism about 15 years ago created the first of the specialty camps, which was about feeding that divine spark within all of the kids. And of course, because it's Jewish, it was sports. Why was it sports for the first camp? And there were people who literally said, why? Why on earth are we starting with sports? And fast forward, they just celebrated their B'nai Mitzvah last summer, the summer before last. 850 kids were at the URJ 6 Point Sports Academy, where it is not a marathon. It is not a sprint, it's a marathon. They're Judaism, right? It's not about where I feel Jewish in this moment. It's about what does my Jewish trajectory look over time. Then they created what to some seemed a little bit more fitting, the SciTech Academy. And our friend Rabbi Dan Medwin tells a story about God is like Wi-Fi. Think about it. Sometimes the connection is really spotty. Sometimes you can't connect at all. Sometimes the connection is so clear. Do we doubt Wi-Fi exists? Pretty smart guy, that Rabbi Dan Medwin. They made him the co-director of the camp because he was so smart and because he is a great partner to Jamie Malandine, who is the co-director on the other side of the camp. And all this time, we were waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting because what made the most sense? Creative arts. We're Jews, right? It's synonymous with creativity. It's synonymous with this idea of being able to create. And so for us, we have this ability to connect Judaism through art. And that's where I live, at this intersection between art and Judaism. There is no right way to pray. The right way to pray is the way that you feel the most connected. So all of our participants, our campers, our staff, and our faculty, like our rabbis, our cantors, and our educators, get to come and express prayers and blessings, and even Torah, where we write a 6-minute musical every single week for the Torah portion called a Jusicle. Thank you very much. I'll be here all week. But that's how we get to express our Judaism. So that's how we find God at camp. It's how God finds us at camp. It's those connections that we make. We're 12-day sessions. We're all on beautiful boarding school campuses. If my colleagues were here, we'd have an argument and probably arm wrestle and see who has the most beautiful campus. But because we want those state-of-the-art facilities, because we're all about skill building in these arts, those are the reasons why we're on boarding school campuses. So we have so much respect and so much appreciation for all of our colleagues who set the bar incredibly high for us with the traditional camps. And we've just taken it a step, I won't do Rocky Horror, a step to the right, to really feed into this one particular passion that our kids have. And that's how we connect to God at camp. If you want to hear more about it, I'll be at the table in the back. Come get some swag. And again, Shabbat Shalom, and thank you very much.
So thank you to all 3 of our camps, to Creative Arts Academy, to Gucci, to Camp Wise for teaching us in such a unique way through the Torah portion about what camp can and should be. So we're going to turn now to Aleinu. And we have a song to present for Aleinu, not our traditional prayer. It's a Dan Nichols song called Aleinu L'Shabeach, or
Dan Nichols and Ellen Dreskin wrote it together.
and Ellen Dreskin. And Joe Allen's very excited. And it's called Aleinu L'Shabeach. It's upon us. Please rise.
It's up to us to call ourselves to task, to sing what's good and true, to bring about redemption. It's what we were free to do. For what's the point of being here if we're not moved to change our ways? Aleinu L'Shabeach. It's time to live our praise. We are carrying the stories of the ones who came before. What stories will be told of us when we are here no more? We commit ourselves to action. It brings meaning to our days. Aleinu L'Shabeach. It's time to live our praise. It's up to us to own the vision. We are an answer to a call. It's up to us to live the words we speak for the benefit of all. It's up to us to bow down deeply. There's a broken world to raise. Aleinu L'Shabeach. It's time to live our praise. Aleinu L'Shabeach. It's time to live our praise.
I'd like to invite Ellen Ross to come forward to offer a few announcements and thank yous.
Hi, everyone. You did a great job. I should have listened to my mother. She wanted me to go to camp, and I didn't go. So thank you, Robin. Thank you, Brett, for filling in. Thank you, rabbis. A nice treat that you're both here. And we have a lot going on at Suburban Temple. Semester 2 of our tent continues on Sunday. We're already in our 4th week. There's no classes the Sunday after Thanksgiving, and right, okay. There's also a very special our tent this Sunday, Shop at Shul, which will feature a dozen of our own artists and have their artwork on display. That's for sale. We begin at 12 and end around 2:30. And yes, we will have the Browns game on for anyone who wants to watch. And Hanukkah is almost here, so please help us celebrate Hanukkah during our services on Friday, December 3rd at 6 o'clock. If you'd like to start reading a great book, you can join our Kol Nishim book club, and we're reading The Lake on Fire. It's by Rosellen Brown, and the author is going to join us on our Zoom discussion on December 13th. And of course, I have to also mention the gatherings. Look for an announcement in December. We're going to start another session in January. And if you have a topic that you're interested in, please ask me or email me or Charlotte, and she'll get back to either Alyssa or I. And if you're also interested in leading, also let us know. Okay? Thanks.
So it is tradition at Gucci for the campers to write their own parts. And when they write their own parts, and we have services every night at Gucci, and they're assigned each cabin is assigned a service, and they pick a theme as a cabin, and they write their own parts. And what is beautiful about this is they can process what camp means to them and what they're working on emotionally and all of that. So camp home comes to camp, and camp comes home. And so he's already up here. I've asked Isaac Van had asked to read a reading that he wrote this summer. That is very special to him, and it will serve as our Kaddish introduction.
Thanks, Mom. A couple months ago, the person who designed the logo for my bar mitzvah lost his battle with cancer. He fought very hard. Everyone really liked him, and what do you? Huh? Like here? Okay. A couple months ago, the person who designed my bar mitzvah logo lost his battle with cancer. He fought very hard. Everyone really liked him, and so many people were really sad, but I wanted to celebrate his memory. He did amazing things like meeting famous actors, and he loved Star Wars. The Mortis Kaddish teaches us to remember everyone we loved in the same way I remember Dale Hopkins.
This Shabbat, we remember those in Shiva, those who've been taken from our family in the most recent of days. Maxine Stevens Middleton, Kenny A. Zeisler. And in Shloshim, in the first month since their death, David Weinberger. And we mark the yahrzeits, the anniversaries of death that fall on this Shabbat. Florence Abramson, Eva Biskind, Norman Cummins, Edith Cummins, Hannah Levi Dietz, Helen Light Duke, Morris Lewis Finneberg Sr., Samuel Philip Fisher, Bernice Fleischer, Rosalind K. Friedman, Fanny Freiberg, Edna Gelman, Biba Slensky Golden, Maurice Goldman, Anna Shanman Goldman, Joseph Goodman, Abraham I. Greenwald, Morris H. Haar, Sandria Johnson, Rolinda Hayes Joseph, Rose Kane, Robert Lewin Kahn, Joseph B. Lieb, Walter W. Magnus, Sophia Saxel Mantler, David L. Margolius, Ralph A. Mayer, Louis Meltziner Jr., David A. Mortiz, Sarah R. Osherwitz, Henry Phillip, Ted Preston, Roselle Leifman Reinschreiber, Norman J. Rosenberg, Abraham Rubenstein, Calvin Siegel, Bert A. Spanier, David Wiesenberger, Rose Haberman Witter, Meyer T. Wolpow. Our griefs and sympathies are mingled as together we turn to page 294 for the Mourner Scottish. Please rise in body or in spirit. Yid Gadal, V'yid Kadash, Shemei Rabbah, V'yalma Divra Hirute, V'yamlich Malchute, B'chayechon V'yomechon, Uvchaye Dechol Beit Yisrael, Ba'agala V'izman Kari V'imru, Amen. Yehei Shmei Rabbah Mevarach Leolam Almei Almaya, Yit Barak V'yit Tabach V'yit Pa'ar V'yit Romam V'yit Naseh, V'yit Hadar V'yit Taleh V'yit Halal Shemei Tikudasha Barechu, Le'elah min kol berchata v'shirata, tushbachata v'nechamata, da'amiran be'alma v'imru, amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shamaya, v'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, v'imru, amen. Osei shalom b'mromav, hu ya'asei shalom, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, v'imru, amen. May the source of peace and peace to all who mourn, and give comfort to all who are bereaved. And let us say together, Amen. Amen. So we have a closing song that Rabbi Shauna is going to explain. Should they sit down for this?
You might want to dance. You can stay standing. So it is a tradition at Camp Wise on Saturday mornings that we sing Adon Olam to different tunes. And a fan favorite is the Backstreet Boys version. If you lived in the 80s, it may sound familiar. Maybe the 90s. I don't know. I've lost track of time. Pandemic does that to you.
Adon Asher Malach B'terem Kol Yetzir Nivra Nasa V'chefso Kol Azai Melech Shemo Nikra Adon Olam Asher Malach B'terem Kol Yetzir Nivra Le'ed Nasa V'chefso Kol Azai Melech Shemo Nikra Ve'acharei kichlot hakol levavado yimloch nora ve'hu haya ve'hu hoveh ve'hu yeh v'tifara Adon Olam asher malach b'terem kol yitzir nivra le'ed nasa b'chefso kol azai melech shemo nikra Ve'hu echad ve'ein sheni lahamshilo lehachbira ve'li reshit ve'li tachlit ve'lo ha'oz ve'hamizra Adon Olam asher malach b'terem kol yitzir nivra le'ed nasa b'chefso kol azai melech shemo nikra Ve'hu Eli, ve'chai gali, ve'tzorchev li, ve'et tzara, ve'hu nisi, umanos li, menad kosi, ve'yom ekra. Adon Olam asher malach, b'terem kol yitzir nivra, le'ed nasa b'chefso kol, azai melech shemo nikra. Ya'ado apkid ruchi ve'et tishan ve'a'ira ve'im ruchi geviati Adonai li ve'lo ira Adon Olam asher malach b'terem kol yetzir nivra le'ed nasa b'chefso kol azai melech shemo nikra Adon Olam asher malach b'terem kol yitzir nivra la'ed nasa b'chefso kol azai melech shemo nikra azai melech shemo nikra azai melech shemo nikra.
In just a moment, we're going to close with our final benediction and then offer motzi. For those of us in the sanctuary, we have challah and I think some extra special treats available as soon as we leave the sanctuary. And I want to say thank you again. This was a little bit longer than we expected, maybe because of our tech. But thank you very much.
Yevarechecha Adonai ve'yishmerecha.
May God bless you and keep you.
Yaher Adonai panav elecha v'chuneka.
May the light of God's presence shine upon each of us, and may God be gracious to us.
Yis Adonai panav elecha ve'yasem lecha shalom ve'yasem lecha shalom.
May God lift up each one of us, and may God bring us shalom, peace, and wholeness. Amen.
Amen. Yes. Hamotzi lechem min haaretz. We give thanks to God for bread. Our voices rise in song together as our prayer is humbly said. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam. Hamotzi lechem min haaretz. Amen.
B'tei avon, Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom.